What is going on YouTube and Diablo fans? My name's Andreas and as always welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video patch 3.2 is now live, so you can hop onto your account and test all the new changes with the Warlock as well as the Terror Zones that have occurred for this new season and the new patch for Diablo 2 Resurrected. And with that being said, the new patch is live, but the ladder season only starts tomorrow, so you can't make a new ladder character just yet. It is just the live patch for the Eternal Realm, so to speak. So in today's video, I just quickly wanted to go over the Tainted Warlock and how that sort of feels in this new patch with the nerfs that have occurred with it. So what we're going to do quickly is I'm just going to respec here just to run you through the Tainted Warlock build very quickly and just show you what we are doing here. So we put one into each of our sigils because we like to use sigil death as well as lethargy at certain times and in certain circumstances. Nothing in the Eldritch tree. For the demon tree, we'll put one into Goatman. We'll max out Summon Tainted. We will then max out Demonic Mastery. We'll put one into Deathmark. We'll max out Blood Boil. We will then max out Engorge to get Blood Boil's physical damage as high as possible rather, and then we will max out Blood Oath, as that is also a synergy for Blood Boil. So that is where we are sitting with our skill tree. We just put points, like I said, in the sigils and then into the demon tree as shown and as follows. Then in terms of our stat distribution, we are just going to put enough points into strength to use our gear, and basically we just want enough to use our Wraith Step boots, which is 163. Then on switch we have a Spirit Monarch and Call to Arms. So the rest of our points are going to be dumped into Vitality, nothing into Dex or anything like that. Our reses are pretty high. This will go up when we summon our Tainted because of the Resist Fire aura that they provide us. Then quickly looking over the gear that we have an Obsession Staff. Lots of good stuff going on here. The all skills, faster cast rate, and all the defensive stats that are on it. We also have a 3 to Warlock, 20 faster cast rate circlet. It is supposed to simulate a 3 to Demonic skills circlet. I just couldn't do that in the hero editor, so it's a 3 to Warlock skill circlet. And then we have that Defender's Fire Jewel in there, as well as a Perfect Topaz just for some MF. We have a 3 to Warlock, 90 life amulet, and that's just to simulate a 3 to Demon skills amulet. We have Enigma, Arachnid's Mesh, 2 Stones of Jordan, a Mage Fist gloves, and then Wraith Step boots with 1 to Demon skills, and our Ars Tor Balos with an Umrune stuck in there. So then we have got an inventory full of Demon skillers and a Fire Sundered Charm, Annie Torch, some all-res small charms, and then again our Call to Arms and Spirit on switch. Then looking at the Merc quickly, we just have an Infinity Merc with the Chains of Honor and a Cure Helm, and this is just again to get our fire damage as best as possible with that Conviction aura. He's also got Holy Freeze just for a bit of CC. So I'm quickly gonna just set up my skills here. What are we doing? Put that just like that. So if we have a look, I'll just overlay some footage now very quickly. I actually want to terrorize a bit of the game here for this particular showcase of how the damage is now with the current patch. So if you didn't know, if we look at the patch, or if we look at our skills here, the Blood Boil synergy gives 20% fire damage per level to our Summon Tainted. In the previous PTR 3.2 patch, this gave us 30% fire damage per level, so it has been nerfed by about 33%. And as you will see with our damage, that also relates to our damage going down by about 33%. So I'll overlay some footage and you'll see that in the PTR, the Tainted with the exact same gear as we have right now, they were doing just shy, a ball hair shy of 40k damage per Tainted, And at the moment now, we are sitting at, if we just buff up with our call to arms here, battle orders, battle command, if we have a look at our Tainted, we are doing just shy of 30k damage per Tainted in terms of fire damage. So like we kind of predicted, it is roughly a 33% loss in damage. So you're doing 1/3 less damage than you were in the PTR. And even with that being the case, this is players 8 in Terrorized River of Flame. We are still doing a whole lot of damage here with our Tainted. We can also lay down our sigils here. This is players 8 and this is Terrorized. So it is kind of the highest difficulty sort of setting you can play on at the moment, and our Tainted can still sometimes one-shot mobs, which is quite powerful in my opinion. And as you can see, it's just doing a whole ton of damage here. Your Tainted are strong, you can stay back and just let them do the work for you. I think even with that 33% damage decrease or nerf that we received, this build is still incredibly strong. If we do encounter immunes, we do have Blood Boil as well, just to deal with those immunities with that physical damage portion that Blood Boil deals. And it deals around 6k damage, or 5,000 and a bit and change. So it is still incredibly powerful. We'll also just hop around to a couple different areas in the game quickly and just show you how that sort of feels. And we can also, whilst our demons are doing their damage, just add a couple Blood Boils in for good measure, just to deal some extra damage whilst we can. So here we have those immunes, which aren't immune but they still have very high resistance, so we'll just add in some Blood Boils there just to get the damage popping off as best as possible. So the Chaos Sanctuary is not the fastest place to farm for this build whatsoever, but it still does incredibly well. I'll quickly show you a couple other areas just so that you can get a bit of an idea. So again, players 8 Terrorized, and the build still feels incredibly strong. A lot of people have been mentioning that Echoing Strike is sort of feeling good at the moment as well, and they say it might feel better than the Tainted. Personally, I don't know if I would agree with that fully, but each to their own. I think Tainted still has that ability to deal a ton of damage, especially when they aren't immunes that have been sundered. And even with our Sundered Charm on and our fire res, we're still sitting very comfortably at 63% fire res there, and you can play with your gear a little bit to get more resistance, more toughness, and maybe sacrifice just a slight amount of damage. But I think for players 8 in the Terrorized zone, this is doing incredibly comfortable amounts of damage, and it is feeling very, very strong. I'm just gonna quickly hop over to a couple other areas just to show you a bit of what's going on. We do need to buff up again, and yeah, I'm stoked with this build. I think it's in a good spot, I think it's in a good place, and 30k fire damage per Tainted is still incredibly solid. I think that is more than enough damage for this build, and just for clearing content very quickly and very efficiently and effectively. So again, if you are sort of one-shotting little trash mobs like this in players 8 Terrorized, I think the build can be considered extremely strong, and coupled with the fact that you don't have to deal with immunes in any sort of funny way, you do have Blood Boil. I think this is looking incredibly good at the moment. I'd love to hear in the comments below what build you will be playing and what you think this build is going to sort of rank up compared to the others in this season. I think it's going to be one of the stronger ones. I mean, yes, fire is absolutely insane in its damage output, but it does struggle a little bit more with immunities than this build, especially on a playthrough sort of standpoint. So last place I'm going to go to, just the Canyon of the Magi. I think that also just shows off a bit of this build's power quite nicely. And Act 2 was going to be a fantastic area for this build to farm, because there aren't that many fire immunes, and there is just a great density of elites and just a great area in general to farm in full terrorized acts. Act 2 is definitely the place that you want to be. Just getting some mana potions here, as we don't have an insight and the build can be a little bit heavy on mana. But as you can see, I think this build is doing incredibly well. You don't have to do a thing. You just cast your sigils, let your Tainted do the work, and just have a blast through the game. So what I'm going to do quickly, this is obviously Players 8 difficulty and Players 8 sort of content. I'm just going to drop it down to Players 1, as that is kind of more realistic in the level and sort of difficulty that you will be playing as for a lot of people. Not everyone plays cooperatively and in public games. You might be playing solo. So if you have a look here, the build absolutely shreds on Players 1, and this is again terrorized. But on Players 1, just wherever you telestomp with your Tainted, they just absolutely murder everything in its vicinity. So I'll quickly hop over to another area just to show that off. But yeah, I think the nerf, like predicted, wasn't really going to affect this build all too much in terms of its efficiency, its efficacy, and just how good it feels in general. I think the build still feels fantastic. It's still very powerful. And to anyone who thought that it was going to be killed off with the nerf, I'm sorry to inform you, but we are still going very strong. And this is, like I mentioned, the build that I'm going to be doing for the playthrough tomorrow, or the day after technically for me, because I'm not starting in the middle of the night when the whole game sort of patch launches and all of that. And if you're interested, tomorrow I'm also going to be doing a video on how the Echoing Strike build has sort of been affected by the changes and by all of the things that have gone on in this new patch. So it has sort of got nerfed quite hard in the PTR, and it is feeling a bit better now, and I would just like to show that off and show you what you can expect, both from a perspective of the physical variant of the build, as well as the Hex Purge variant that I think most people are going to be playing. So as you can see, we also spawned a Herald here, and it did that nice new sort of method of gently spawning the Herald, as opposed to just spawning it randomly on top of you without you really knowing what's going on. So that's a great change. And yeah, definitely stay tuned for the coming content. We're going to be doing a ton of live streams as soon as the new season drops and starts, and I think it's going to be a fantastic season. It's going to be super fun, and I'm so excited to play all of the changes that have happened to the Warlock, all of the new Terror Zone changes, and it's just an exciting time for Diablo 2 Resurrected. Also, if you haven't already, please consider joining our Discord community. It is a lovely, intimate, growing community with a lot of like-minded people who are very enthused about Diablo 2 Resurrected, and we're also going to be doing some playthrough groups in order to get to Hull as quickly as possible, to start farming for the new ladder season and just getting stuck into the game. So if that is of interest to you, if you'd like to be part of the community, if you'd like to be part of those games to do the playthrough and start the new season, definitely join our community. We're going to be having a couple groups going for that, and I'm super pumped. So with all that being said, if you have enjoyed this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Any likes, views, shares, all of that good stuff is always very greatly appreciated, and we'll catch you again very soon for some more mana and motherboards. Cheers!